Where are Tottenham's signings? The season starts in 2 weeks and we've only signed Archie Gray and Timo Werner. What's going on? Calm down, all right? I hear you. In today's video, we're going to rank every single Tottenham transfer rumour based on how much I'd like to sign them. The tiers, I break the bank, do it, makes sense, can't see it and avoid at all costs. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Tottenham content throughout the summer. Here are all of the names that I could find that Spurs have been linked with at some point during this transfer window. We've got attackers, we've got midfielders, we've got defenders. We've already done a striker tier list based on how much I'd like to sign them. We did them a few weeks ago. There are some strikers in here, but this is maybe about those other areas of the team that we need to strengthen. Now, there are some players in here that there are some tenuous links to. Others are more concrete. It's been reported that Spurs are going to sign 3 more players this summer. And in this video, I'm going to try and whittle it down to 3 players that Tottenham should prioritise signing. One of them will go and break the bank as the marquee signing, and the other 2 will go in do it. Okay, there are some other signings in here that make sense, that would be nice if Spurs can get them over the line. But I'm just thinking about what Spurs need in terms of this squad. So let's get straight into it. Again, I'm going to leave a template in the comments below that you guys, you Spurs fans, can go and do your own version of this. So let's get straight into it. First up, we've got Federico Chiesa. Now, Federico Chiesa, the links to Tottenham have intensified over the last week or so. There's been Italian media outlets reporting that Spurs are interested in bringing him over from Juve this summer. He's in the last year of his contract and Juve are willing to sell him for around 25 to 30 million pounds. That makes Federico Chiesa, naturally, a very attractive option for Spurs. Someone who's not going to cost an arm and a leg, someone who we know is versatile enough to play in any area across the front line. Again, it's unclear whether the forward signing that Spurs are looking at is a striker or whether it's a versatile winger that can maybe play on either side or could potentially play through the middle as well. Chiesa can do that. Again, has he been held back by Allegri's negative style over the last few years, or is it really the injuries that have held him back? That ACL injury back in 21-22, he hasn't quite looked the same player since then, and he certainly hasn't hit the same heights. And it's a bit of a red flag to me that Federico Chiesa, who was meant to be this poster boy of the new look era of Juventus, is being shipped off when the new manager comes in, Thiago Motta. He wants to build the side in his vision. He obviously doesn't see Federico Chiesa as part of that. Again, Plettigol, the journalist that haunted us all throughout last summer with the Harry Kane saga, reported that Spurs are interested in signing this summer. A lot of the English journalists, Alistair Gold, Paul O'Keefe, the In The Know, has kind of said that there is no interest from Spurs. There is no interest from Spurs, and a lot of it is agent talk. He's been linked with Chelsea as well. Apparently his agent is in London looking to secure him a move. And to be honest, for that reason, look, I would say it makes sense. I do worry about the injuries. I think it would make sense if you definitely made sure that you brought in another attacker as well. And the links have been that Spurs are only going to bring in one attacker this summer. And if that's going to be Federico Chiesa, then I would say avoid. I'm going to put him in can't see it. Look, I love Federico Chiesa. He's a superb player. But yeah, I don't see this happening this transfer window. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether you would sign Federico Chiesa, because there's been a massive debate about it amongst the Spurs fan base. Are we in a position to be turning players like that down? Who knows? But I just think with the injury record, with the fact that Juve are so keen to get rid of him, could he find his best form at Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou? I believe that he probably could do that. He's an immensely talented player, but I'm not sure it's the right signing Spurs should be making now. Let's go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put quite a few players in do it in terms of players that I want Spurs to sign, but I am going to whittle it down to 3 at the end. So if there's more players in there, we will whittle them down. There might not be. Let's go through some. Let's get some out of the way then that I would just probably not touch. Santiago Jimenez is a striker that's been linked with Spurs for a while now from Feyenoord. Caught fire towards the start of last season. Hasn't really been able to find that consistency. I think, again, if Spurs are looking to make a splash in terms of their big summer signing in a forward area, I think Jimenez is one you avoid. I've included Weston McKennie in here because there were some tenuous links. Look, I was trying to find as many players as possible, but Johan Lang is keeping things very much under wraps. If I did this under Fabio Paratici, the list would be as long as my arm, all right? So I have included Weston McKennie in there. He's going straight in a void as well, and I can't see that one happening. Now, let's go to Coyote, who's the Fiorentina right-back who Spurs have been tenuously linked with over the last few days. Again, I wouldn't say that's a priority right now. Obviously, Emerson Royale is out the door. Jed Spence has kind of emerged definitely as an option to compete with Pedro Porro. He's had an excellent pre-season. Let me know your thoughts on Jed Spence in the comments. And obviously, you've got Archie Gray as well, who can play there. His versatility lends himself to being able to play at right back, so I'm going to avoid that one for now, although he seems like a very promising player. Again, same as Vanderson. Don't see it, personally. I certainly don't see Spurs spending £40 million on someone like Vanderson at this point in the window, even though there were links a few months back. Fabrizio Romano linked us to him, I believe, at the start of June, maybe. Again, very talented player, Brazilian, very similar profile to Porro, would make a lot of sense. But again, with Spurs needing to balance those homegrown quotas as well, Jed Spence makes far more sense to continue as our right-back option next season. Obviously, we are getting rid of Emerson Royale. So that would be a no from me. Again, in the makes sense category, I'm kind of going to label it as a makes sense / why not, or maybe one for the future kind of signing, because we've got a couple of players here, a couple of left backs in Patrick Dorgu and Bradley Locco, who have both had really impressive seasons in Italy and in France, respectively. Both young left backs who I think, again, kind of fit the mould of Destiny Udogie, and I'm going to put them both in makes sense. If Spurs were to maybe sign one of them potentially, and we have a Destiny Udogie type situation where, you know, that one of them is loaned back to the parent club for next season, and then they join us the year after, because I'm not sure it's necessarily a priority right now. It's going to be very interesting to see if Spurs do go in and sign a defender. Again, we were linked quite heavily with Hiroki Ito at the start of the window, but he has gone to Bayern Munich. Again, he is someone that could have played that left centre-back role, left back as well, kind of perfect for the system in terms of his versatility. Dorgu and Locco are kind of more out-and-out left-backs, but again, I definitely think with their skill sets in terms of their ball-carrying abilities, their strength, their ability to pop up in the final third, they would definitely fit the mould of what we have in Destiny Udogie. But again, we've seen Jamie Donnelly play there throughout the season. Is Jamie Donnelly going to get a chance at left-back next season? Who knows? Let me know in the comments below. We haven't actually got any out-and-out centre-backs on this list because there hasn't really been too many strong links, to be honest. I think in an ideal world, if a defender comes up that fits the profile of being able to play at centre-back and maybe full-back, I think that's someone that Spurs would look at. But I don't think, one, there's too many on the market right now that are in Spurs' kind of either price range or in terms of if you're thinking about it being a realistic sign-in. There aren't too many, but I do think left-back is something that we are going to have to consider maybe next season. Obviously, Ben Davies feels like he's going to stay at the club. We know we've got Mickey van der Ven that can play there as well with Dragusin if he comes in alongside Romero. It does feel like we need one more defensive sign-in, but I really don't know who that's going to be. Let me know in the comments below your ideal defensive sign-in. Like I said, make sure to like and subscribe because there's going to be more of these throughout the transfer window. We're going to do a lot more transfer videos. We're going to do a lot more tactical breakdowns as well. And player profiles as well. If Spurs get linked with one of these players, we will do a video on them. You can make sure of that. So make sure to subscribe for that. So Dorgu or Locco, I'm excited by both of them. So I think I'm going to put them both in there. Again, it will only be one, but I'm not particularly fussed either way, to be honest. I both really like what they're about. And I think it makes sense for sure, those links. But I think it's one that Spurs will maybe look at in a year's time rather than right now. Right now, we're kind of mainly left with attackers. This is the juicy part, all right? I'm going to start with Marcus Edwards, who I've put in there at the end. Obviously, Marcus Edwards has been linked with Crystal Palace. Marcus Edwards used to play for Spurs. This link does make sense. It does make sense. But I also can't see it. Because Spurs are only going to sign one attacker, if you believe what you read. Unless Richarlison is sold, then that brings these boys into play. Ivan Toney, Victor Gyökeres, Victor Osimhen, Jonathan David, Lois Openda as well. That brings those boys into play. Maybe some more than others. So I think Marcus Edwards would make sense in terms of a winger profile that Spurs are looking at, and the fact that he helps solve the club-trained homegrown issue. Spurs are struggling in that area in terms of registering players for Europe, but I can't see that one this time around. I do think he'll get a move. I think Crystal Palace would be an amazing move for him. He is the club that is the club that he's been linked with most heavily. So I'm going to put Marcus Edwards in can't see it. Same with I'm going to put Lois Openda in can't see it as well. I mean, Lois Openda for me, in terms of what Spurs want in terms of striker, I don't want to put him there. I would put Lois Openda there. I think Lois Openda is the perfect striker profile for Tottenham if we are going to go out and sign a striker, but his release clause is incredibly hefty and doesn't actually get activated until next summer. So again, I'm going to put that one in can't see it. Ederson. Midfielders, we've got a couple more midfielders. We've got 3 more midfielders on this list. Ederson is someone who, again, I think makes sense for Spurs. It does make a lot of sense for Spurs in terms of his profile. Can play as a 6, can play as an 8. Really impressive season for Atalanta. Again, someone that Spurs have been linked with. Not so much this summer, but there were definitely noises towards the end of the season that Ederson might be a player that Spurs are looking at. Again, I think a lot of fans will put Ederson right there. But I think with the signing of Archie Gray, they're looking to Archie Gray as kind of that long-term number 6, maybe replacement for Basuma, although I think Basuma's had an impressive start to pre-season. And I think Basuma as well is a player that maybe Spurs fans have written off a little bit too soon. I think, for me, with that number 6 position, I think that's one that you maybe look at next year if there is a better option out there. I think the market is pretty dry right now, other than maybe someone like Edison. But again, I think homegrown targets in that midfield are more appealing for Tottenham. If this was my list based on purely what I think Spurs should maybe do, I wouldn't mind seeing him there. I really wouldn't mind seeing him there. But I think I'm going to leave him make sense for now. Just behind the two fullbacks, Dorgu and Loco. Let me know what you think about Edison. Look, I think he's a fantastic player, but I just can't see Spurs signing him this summer. So you could put him in there, can't see it. But I'm going to leave him and make sense, because if a deal did come up towards the end of the window, I would be excited by that. Conor Gallagher, can't see it at this point. Again, the Conor Gallagher saga. Praise the Lord, Tottenham fans. Say it with me. It's over. It looks like he's going to Atletico Madrid. However, there have been some links today saying that Spurs are still expected to make a bid. That is the feeling coming out of Chelsea. But, I mean, it makes sense. And again, I'm recording this video off the back of the Tottenham pre-season game against Team K-League earlier on. Spurs conceded 2 very sloppy goals in transition, which was something that we were known for towards the end of last season. That midfield needs a bit of bolstering, and it needs bolstering with players who can run, engines, tracking back. And Gallagher, I mean, Gallagher gives you that. So he would go and make sense. But at this point in the window, I just can't see that. I think Gallagher would be a good signing for Tottenham. I really do. Kind of more so than other fans. I did a video on Conor Gallagher on my channel again. It's probably pretty redundant now that he's not signing for us, but feel free to go and watch that. And yeah, I think his profile really suits what Andrew would want to do. And I think his hard-working, defensive, tenacious abilities in terms of working hard, coming back, and also offering a threat in the final third as well with his pressing, leading to high turnovers. Spurs scored a lot of goals from high turnovers last year. I think Gallagher would be a really valuable option. And again, because of the homegrown issues that Spurs are finding themselves with, I think he comes up into here. But again, that Atletico link seems like it's happening. I'm going to put him at the top of Can't See It, because I actually want to put him in Makes Sense. I'll be honest, I'd even maybe edge towards Do It, but it seems as if Gallagher is off to Madrid. Speaking of Milan, Emerson Royale looks like he's on his way out again. We did put Coyote here in as a right back. Wondering if there's any news on Milan from Emerson's perspective. Right, let's move on. Jacob Ramsey. I think he's my first player to go into here. I think this makes too much sense. Again, whether this will happen or not is another question. I think Ramsey is exactly the sort of profile Spurs are looking for in midfield. Obviously, we've got new midfielders this summer with Bergwall coming in January. Obviously, Archie Gray making a splash so far in pre-season. Many playing at centre-back. He's actually looked a little bit more comfortable there. But I do think Spurs definitely see him long-term as a centre midfielder. I think as that box-to-box option, I'm going to say it now, I think there's a very good chance that next summer Rodrigo Bentancur leaves Tottenham. I think that he's obviously had he's had a difficult year in terms of his injuries and off-the-field issues as well. I think if Spurs got a decent offer for him, maybe even potentially towards the end of this window, and again, there is a chance in which Spurs might have to sell a player that you don't expect this summer to maybe make the signings that they want to make work, whether that's someone like Rodrigo Bentancur. There were rumours that Dejan Kulusevski could leave Tottenham this summer with Napoli interested. I don't see that, and I think it would be a massive, massive mistake. I absolutely adore Rodrigo Bentancur, but if Spurs are looking to revamp this midfield with these kind of box-to-box options, these really relentless workers, like someone like Gallagher, like someone like Ramsey, I think Bentancur in a year's time might be a bit surplus requirement to Spurs, which is absolutely crazy to say, especially as I think Pat Matasar is so key to Tottenham. I really think he, alongside Basuma, will be those starting midfielders again, with Gray and Bergwall used as rotation options. And I think Ramsey offers something different that we maybe don't have. He's more of a box-to-box who can get up and score goals as well, knit moves together, again works hard, he's got a great engine. I think he's going to go in. He's going to take the first do-it space. Again, we're going to whittle this down to 3 players, which is going to be incredibly hard. There's the 3 players I would love to see Tottenham sign this summer. And I think Ramsey is going to take up that first do-it space. Now, Jonathan David, striker. Going back to strikers, because we're mainly left with strikers on this list, other than a few wingers as well. Jonathan David, I can't see it, and I'd potentially even avoid. I actually am contradicting myself based on, I think, what I said in my Spurs striker tier list video, because I actually think David's profile suits Spurs quite nicely. I just can't still shake this feeling that why hasn't he moved yet? I feel like it's a bit of a red flag that Jonathan David hasn't got that big move yet. They're willing to let him go for quite small amounts of money, really. I don't think I don't think he's any better than Richarlison. I really don't think he's any better than Richarlison. And I think Spurs should only sign a striker this summer if you guarantee that he's going to be better than Richie. Again, Spurs are going to need that durability next season with us being back in Europe. I'm not sure David is the man that really takes us to the next level. I'm not sure he offers us more than Richarlison, to be honest. So I'm going to put a void. I'm actually going to put a void. I'm going to put him near the top of the list, though, to be fair, because I don't think it'd be a terrible option, but I wouldn't be that inspired if Spurs signed Jonathan David, put it that way. Right, Victor Osimhen. Again, Victor Osimhen. Now, this is a very tenuous one. There has been some links to Osimhen today. Apparently, Spurs are being asked to, or Spurs have asked to be kept informed of the situation surrounding Victor Osimhen. I think avoid this one like the plague. Again, I mean, Victor Osimhen is actually, I'm going to put him in can't see it. Look, Victor Osimhen is a great striker. He went off the ball a little bit at Napoli last season. Again, I think he was injured for parts of the season as well. And Napoli's kind of title defence just fell apart. Without him, and obviously Kvaratskhelia kind of finding that consistency, I just can't see this. I think, obviously, he looks like he's maybe going to Chelsea in a loan deal with Lukaku going the other way. That is the final boss of Chelsea transfer deals, by the way. A Lukaku-Osimhen swap deal. What world are we living in? I can't see this one. And I wouldn't be that bothered if it doesn't happen. I can't see it, personally. And I think there are other more attractive striker options for Spurs, and I think they're both here, remaining in the list, in Victor Gyökeres and Ivan Toney. Look, are Spurs in a position to turn down the quality of someone like Victor Osimhen? Probably not. Would he improve us? Probably. It's got flop written all over it for me. I can't see it. I don't think he'll do that well at Chelsea, even though I think his profile is really suited to the Premier League. I don't know. I don't. Something is telling me just to stay away from this one. I can't see it happening anyway, to be fair. Right, Desiree Doué. I mean, Desiree Doué for me would be right up here, but it looks as if he is either going to Bayern Munich or PSG. However, it feels as if his decision has been delayed because he's at the Olympics, and Bayern are struggling to shift the players that would allow them to spend the money on someone like Desiree Doué. PSG have confirmed the signing of João Neves today, I believe. Again, Victor Osimhen is a player that they were looking at. That feels as if it's gone very cold now, obviously, with Osimhen going to Chelsea potentially. Can Spurs swoop in? I mean, for me, he's going to stay and do it regardless. I can't see it. But in terms of what I would want to see, I think do it 100%. This kid is immensely talented. I had a video planned for my channel talking about Desiree Doué, but with those links kind of dying down, that one's gone in the bin. And that is the harsh reality of being a YouTuber, especially someone who supports Tottenham, because these transfer rumours can come and go very, very quickly. Desiree Doué goes and do it for me. Again, we might have to do some moving around here because, again, I'm limiting myself to 3 players, all right? 2 in do it and 1 in break the bank. Again, right, all of these players, I'm going to chuck all of them in do it now. Toney, Eze, Neto, and Gyökeres, because these are all players that improve Tottenham. All players that improve Tottenham 100%. Starting off with Ivan Toney, I think he's a perfect profile for what one of the versions of the Ange Postecoglou number 9 that Spurs want. Obviously, I think Sonny does a great job up front as well. Obviously, maybe against low blocks, he does struggle, and I think that's where someone like Toney comes in. Obviously, someone like Richarlison as well is great for Spurs, but again, that durability over the course of a season is going to be a problem. I think my gut is that Richie stays, but if we're living in a world where Richie goes and Spurs go and sign a striker, Toney and Gyökeres are the options for me that Spurs should look at. Gyökeres, I think, is a statement signing. Again, obviously, he's only had 1 season, really, in the Portuguese league to show his talent. Obviously, he had a very impressive spell at Coventry as well. Took him a while to get going. But this guy's a monster. I think he's a monster. Again, something else that complicates this slightly is Victor Gyökeres' countrymate, Dejan Kulusevski. Some really impressive displays in pre-season as a number 9. Will Spurs be looking for that out-and-out number 9? But again, this is my tier list, okay? I think Dejan Kulusevski's versatility is going to offer Spurs so much next season, and I actually might make a video on Dejan Kulusevski because I think he's incredibly misunderstood. And I'm going to do that maybe next week. So, and again, let me know in the comments, guys, what videos you want to see from me. I've got a lot planned, but I want to get you guys involved as well. So Toney and Gyökeres are the 2 outstanding striker options for me, and then we've got 2 wingers here, Eberechi Eze and Pedro Neto. Oh, I mean, you guys know. The first video on my YouTube channel was why Tottenham must sign Eberechi Eze. So Eze has got to stay in these 3 for me. I think Eze as a touchline winger, again, maybe that's not the sort of profile that he is. That's definitely the profile that Spurs may be looking for. But I think if Eberechi Eze is available, you go and do it. you go and do it. You ask the questions afterwards. That is the sort of quality of player Spurs need to kick on to that next level, to compete for a top 3 finish, which I genuinely believe we can do. I've been really excited by what we've seen in pre-season so far, and I think with those young talent, you need to sprinkle in some real quality. Chiesa just turned 26, in the prime of his career, and I think for me, Chiesa is going to be the break-the-bank signing. I think he has to be. I think he absolutely has to be. Again, James Maddison's performances in pre-season have been fairly lacklustre, I think it's fair to say. I think he provides really healthy competition for him. I think he can play in a variety of positions. He could potentially play as that false number 9 as well if Spurs look to play that way. I think, again, like I said, you ask the questions afterwards in terms of how he can fit in. And Spurs have been linked with Eze for so long, they obviously feel like they can make it work. And I think you've got to do it. I do think you've got to do it. So Chiesa, for me, goes in as that break-the-bank signing. Now, we've really got to whittle it down here. I'm going to take THREE Tottenham out because, again, like I said, I'm only going to leave 2 players and do it because I think Spurs, the number is 3, is what we're being told. So THREE Tottenham is going to go down to can't see it, although he's going right at the top because he would be, again, I think he would be break-the-bank or definitely do it. He's such an incredible player. And for you guys who don't know much about him, go and watch this guy. He is absolutely superb. I did a podcast with Harry Brooks and James Alcott, The Ripple Effect. We talked about we ranked every Premier League transfer rumour for every club, and in that we talked about THREE Tottenham. My word, this kid is sensational. Harry Brooks talked about the fact that he doesn't think he's seen a better Ligue 1 talent come through since Eden Hazard, and I think it's going to be gutting if Spurs can't get it over the line. But I think, you know, when PSG and Bayern Munich are in the mix, Angie's pull can only go so far. We've got Dragusin off Bayern. I'm not sure we can do it with Doué. So that leaves 2 players that I need to get rid of here in Do It. I mean, one of the strikers has got to go, definitely. And I think it's going to be... I'm going to put Gyökeres. Again, I would love Gyökeres, but I just can't see that happening. I can't see that happening. I would love to put him in there. I would absolutely love to put him in Do It because I think he'd be incredible. But I think, again, balancing those homegrown issues for Tottenham is going to be tough. And I think 3 out of those 4 options that remain in the top 2 spots help do that for Spurs. Again, are Aston Villa going to let Jacob Ramsey go? They've got their own club-trained issues going into the Champions League. But I think that is one that could potentially get done. Maybe if it doesn't, that's still... I think that's a signing that Spurs should prioritise, that kind of profile of midfielder. We've got a lot of midfielders, but I think Ramsey for the long term, I think I would like Spurs to do that. So in my ideal transfer window, I'm going to keep Jacob Ramsey in as one of my 3 signings. So that means I've got to get rid of Pedro Neto or Ivan Toney. Right, if you've made it to this point in the video, let me know in the comments. If it came down to you could sign 3 out of 4 players, and it's Eze, Ramsey, Neto and Toney, which one's got to go? One's got to go, let me know. Eze, Neto, Ramsey, Toney. I just think, even though he'd be absolutely perfect as a winger profile, I just worry so much about Neto and his hamstrings. I'm going to put him in Make Sense, though, because I still think there's a chance in which this happens, for sure. I still think there's a good chance that Spurs sign Pedro Neto, and I would love to if Spurs were to go out and sign more attacking players, but I'm keeping it to 3, guys, all right? I'm keeping it down to 3. And I'm going to put Ivan Toney, Jacob Ramsey and Chiesa, 3 English talents, as my 3 signings for Spurs this summer. Guys, if you've enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below what your 3 signings for Tottenham would be. This is mine. I'm going to leave the template in the comments for you guys to do this as well. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. There is much more Tottenham content coming over the next few days. Enjoy your evening and up the Spurs.